Today we are starting one of my, if not my most anticipated new book release of 2026, and that is Brighter Than Before by Courtney Walsh. I am so thankful to have gotten an arc of this, and I'm so excited to start reading. But if you don't know a lot about Courtney Walsh, I wanted to share a little bit about why I've been anticipating this book so much before we get into reading. So first of all, of her more recent releases, you have the Holidays with Heart series, which is 3 different books. They follow 3 different sisters around like different holidays, which is so fun. And I love this series. It is a more like traditional romance series, whereas these 3 books of hers that I have that are also more recent releases are more women's fiction mixed with romance. And these 3 books are some of my favorite books of all time. And they all also just happen to be by her and be the same kind of genre, which is why I'm so excited about Brighter Than Before, because it just fits right in with these 3, and I feel like it's just my perfect book. Really quickly of these, just if you're interested, I have Everything's Coming Up Rosy. This one might be my favorite right now because of the like theater themes and plot in this book, but I loved this one. I feel like touches on just being in different seasons of life as your friends, and I feel like is very relevant in like your 20s and 30s. We also have The Happy Life of Isadora Bentley, which follows a university researcher who sets out to basically disprove this article she reads about 31 ways to be happy, but along the way, you can maybe guess what happens. It's just so uplifting and wholesome. I loved this one. And then the third one is The Summer of Yes. This one is perfect for the summertime, but any time of year. And it follows 2 different women, like an intergenerational kind of friendship, and their summer of saying yes to all the things they would normally say no to. And again, there's some romance in all 3 of these, and they're just so uplifting, feel good. I feel like they inspire you to live your life more to the fullest and kind of do some of the things that these characters are doing and go on the journey yourself that they're going on. And so I just love these, and I cannot wait to read her newest release that kind of fits with these same themes and genres. So last thing, I wanted to just share a little bit about what the book is actually about, and then we'll go start reading. So part of the little blurb says, life has a way of changing your path, and Claire Karadec certainly didn't plan on a fork in the road in her 40s. From New York Times bestselling author Courtney Walsh comes a witty, warm, and uplifting novel about second chances, found family, and the courage it takes to become yourself. So basically, I think this story follows Claire, who is coming off of an unexpected divorce and basically decides to really take advantage of her fresh start. So she makes a list of all these things she wants to do, one of which is move to a new city. So I think she moves to Chicago and gets an apartment, and that's kind of where her story starts. And I think her daughter's involved in some things. There's some romance. And something about me too is that I love a good list in a book, like her making this list of things she wants to do. I love a bucket list or a life list, or even in Isadora Bentley, like her 31 ways to be happy thing she's trying to disprove. Like, I feel like it just makes for such interesting situations and scenarios, but also you really get to see who the character is, what they desire, who they want to become. And I also just love a good list personally. I love to make lists, goal lists, all of those things. And so I love that in a book, and I am so excited. So with all of that being said, I'm going to take my Kindle and head to the library. It's just a really gloomy, rainy kind of day, so I feel like the library will be the perfect place to just get cozy and start this book. So let's go. Okay, I am in my car. I just got finished at the library. I read the first 4 chapters of Brighter Than Before, so I wanted to go ahead and give my initial thoughts kind of update. The first chapter was so funny, just like the situation that was happening. If you read it, you'll see. It's not like a spoiler, but it's just a fun experience to read. I was having so much like secondhand embarrassment reading what happened to Claire in the very first chapter, which like she did it to herself, but it was so funny. And then I feel like the second chapter really set up the whole, she made her list and was just like reflecting. So I feel like it was a very good contrast of like this funny thing that happened, but also that kind of woke her up. And then the next chapter was like her reflecting on what she really wants and kind of making this list and deciding to make a change, which is really pulling that inspiration that I love and expect from Courtney Walsh books. And we've also met some of the side characters that I feel like are going to make like a really fun community and found family kind of aspect. We've met Minnie, who is Claire's 23-year-old daughter. Claire is 46, and then her daughter's 23. And then we also met Lorraine, who is her neighbor in her new apartment in Chicago. And we haven't really met him yet, but we've seen him across the courtyard, and that is Miles, who is also one of her neighbors at her new apartment in Chicago. And I think he's going to be the love interest, which I am very excited for. But right now there's like something weird going on, and she, I feel like, is very skeptical of him. So I'm interested to see kind of how that pans out as well. But overall, I'm already enjoying it so much. I can see like I said, the inspiration, and I feel like I'm really going to enjoy that aspect of the story, but also the community aspect and also just Courtney Walsh's writing. Like I've already been highlighting things, and I just love the way that she writes and says things and creates characters. So I'm very excited to continue reading. I feel like the sun came out for a little bit while I was in the library, but now it's kind of clouding up again, so I don't know if it's going to rain again or what. But I did get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine sitting by the window in there, which was nice. I'm going to head home, and I will talk to you guys when I have another update for Brighter Than Before. Is the next day. It's a beautiful day outside. I stopped and got my favorite blueberry matcha, which I'm about to mix up and enjoy. I feel like since finding out I was pregnant, I really haven't done a ton of caffeine. I've tried to just not, but every once in a while I'll get a matcha because it's not too much and it's just so good, especially like this time of year. I really want like a fruity matcha. So we're gonna go do a little bit more reading and drink that at the library. I also have some editing to do, which is another reason I decided to go ahead and come over here, because I just feel like I can be a little bit more productive when I go out than when I stay home. But before we go in, I did want to give another little reading update. I have officially read the first 7 chapters. I'm about to start chapter 8, which puts me at about 20%. And since I last updated you guys, we did get to officially meet Miles, who is the love interest. And again, similar to the first chapter, their whole meeting situation was just so funny. I was like embarrassed again for her, but also like laughing, and it was just such a funny scene. I love Courtney Walsh's humor and the way that she writes just her characters and things. I also really like Miles's character so far. I feel like he is very like honest and more outgoing, like doesn't take himself quite as seriously or take life quite as seriously, and I think that's going to be really, really good for Claire. And so I'm excited to kind of see their dynamic and how they complement each other, because I feel like it's going to be really good in their relationship. Also, since we talked, they have decided her daughter, Minnie, got her on like a dating app, and so Minnie, her daughter, and Miles, her neighbor, love interest, have picked out 3 men for her to go on dates with from this dating app, because I guess he's also on the dating app, so he like knows how to use it. And I just feel like this is going to be really comical. Again, just the situation she's going to get herself into. And I love the way that Miles is already like befriending her daughter. And I'm just kind of interested to see how their relationship starts to develop, because right now it's definitely, I feel like, just friendship they feel towards each other because of some thoughts she's had about him and just the way that he's been acting, and now the way that he's like helping her daughter set her up on dates. So I'm interested to see kind of how this plays out, if like he was always interested or if how it develops. I'm just interested to see how the romance kind of comes about, but I'm also still really enjoying the more women's fiction inspirational aspect of just her trying to cross things off her bucket list, like even trying new foods and different things like that, just really putting herself outside of her comfort zone, which I feel like it's inspiring me to do a little bit more. I almost went to a different coffee shop today that is new that I've been wanting to try, but I decided that me and Jackson are going to go a different day, and it's always fun to try new things with him. But I was thinking about pushing myself a little bit and going somewhere new, because I don't always like changing up the routine. So thank you, Courtney Walsh, for inspiring me for that. But we're going to head into the library, enjoy our matcha, and just enjoy this beautiful day. It's so nice. It says it's 72, but I'm like sweating because I turned the AC off to film this clip. So we're going to head inside and do some more reading. After doing some reading at the library earlier and a little bit of reading in the sun by the pool, I am officially 47% through. I'm about to start chapter 17, and I'm just having so much fun. I knew that I would most likely love this book because I'm such a Courtney Walsh fan, and it's proving to be true. I've really enjoyed seeing more of Miles and his character. I feel like he's just such a good guy, but we're also kind of getting this underlying, like, he has other motives, or like he's not being completely honest about, specifically, I feel like, his intentions or feelings towards Claire, and also his dating life. Like, there's just different little things that happen and kind of assumptions that she's made that I feel like maybe he's just letting her believe. I don't know. I definitely think there's something going on there that's going to come about later in the story. And I also feel like there might be something with that with Minnie, Claire's daughter, and him, that like the dates they're setting her up on or something. I'm just like, this seems suspicious. Like maybe they have other plans, because the dates she's been going on objectively as like dates have been horrible dates, but in terms of like reading about them in a book, they've been so entertaining, so creative, so hilarious, and also I feel like really growing and stretching for Claire as a person, because some of them, like, despite what happens, she's still having these really cool experiences in the city. She's meeting new people. She's putting herself out there. Yeah, they're just really funny to read about. Again, all of the scenes, there's just, this book is funny, and she's writing just really unique, interesting situations that are happening that I'm like, how did she come up with that? That's hilarious. And it's just been really fun to read. Claire has also been adding some things she wants to do to her list that I was talking about that she has made, of like the second chance she's kind of giving herself. And I think that's been really fun as well, to dive even deeper into her character and into who she is and what she really wants and who she wants to be, what she wants to do with this kind of second chance she's gotten at life. And one of those things is kind of this bigger dream that we just kind of came across as she met a new friend in a scene, which I also loved that scene so much. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I love the idea that this book is kind of painting of just like a blank slate and getting to dream and hope and just kind of create this life that you want. And I feel like this kind of specific dream she has is a picture of that. And the way that Miles has been like so supportive of it and encouraging and just so sweet and kind to her has just been so sweet. And I've loved that. One more thing I've specifically loved in this book as well is that she's included there's been different ways she's told the story. There's obviously just like the normal writing, and then there's lots of text messages, especially between her and her daughter, because her daughter is studying at Oxford, which I'm hoping her daughter comes to Chicago at some point. I feel like that needs to happen and would be really fun. But she also includes some of her journal like entries and writings as she's kind of making her list and going through these experiences. And I really like that as well, just to get more of her internal thoughts and dilemmas and what she was thinking during a specific scene or moment. And I personally just like journaling and reflecting, and I feel like that adds a lot to the story. So overall, I guess my update at this halfway point is just that every scene I feel like is so unique, so creative, so fun, and I'm just having the best time overall reading it. I already am so sad that in another 50% the book is going to be over. Like, I don't want it to end, and that's always a good sign. Maybe a 5-star sign, which wouldn't be that surprising because I feel like most of her books for me are 4.5 to 5 stars. So we'll have to see what this one ends up being. For now, I'm probably going to do a little bit more reading before bed tonight and then probably talk to you guys tomorrow. I don't know if we'll finish the book tomorrow, but we'll definitely finish it this weekend. I am at the 70% mark of Brighter Than Before, and so I wanted to give a reading update now. One, because I feel like I'm probably just gonna read the rest of this, and the next time we talk will be my final rating and review and everything. And also because I really just feel like I am on the cusp of kind of everything happening with the romance, with like finding out some different things that we've kind of been wondering about, with just kind of even her list and all the things she's trying to do and accomplish, and the conflict, and just all of the things that are going to kind of bring the book together at the end. I feel like I'm about to be there, so I feel like now is the perfect time to tell you a little bit about the last 20 or 30% I've read. First of all, we finally got to see kind of the true bigger story of what really happened with Claire's divorce. We got bits and pieces from the beginning of the book, but we actually got to like go back in time and kind of see that full scene and how it played out for her. And I feel like that was really helpful to better understand her character and just what she's gone through over the last year with like losing friendships along with her marriage, and the life that she built, and how public things were, and her grief, and just all of these things that she is still processing and healing from. And so as a reader, it's really helpful to kind of know that whole backstory. We're still waiting on Miles's backstory because he definitely also has a story, and we've only gotten maybe a couple of tiny hints about his. His is still very mysterious, and I do think that will be a part of the next 30 or so percent as Miles and Claire's like relationship grows and their romance grows. But right now it's still a mystery, so I'm very interested to see kind of what his story is and why he tends to be more guarded and closed off when it comes to any kind of romantic relationship. And so still waiting on that, but I do feel like we've gotten a lot more just like information and gotten to know Miles a lot more. We just had a whole chapter and scene where she like went out with some of like his family and friends, and like we're kind of getting to see his circle and community, which I feel like has been really helpful for even more knowing who he is, because I do feel like there's kind of been this tension in the book of who he is when you like see him in scenes with Claire and things, and even what he says about himself, and then these other small details that he might mention or do and Claire's assumption of them. I guess it's really just like what she's assuming about different things about him. So there's kind of this tension of like, who is he really? Is he who he seems to be when we like see him in scenes, or is he more this person that Claire is kind of assuming that he is based on different things? I'm trying not to like spoil things, but also trying to explain the tension here. And so with all of that, I feel like just at the end of the last chapter, we started to like relieve some of that tension, or even just start to kind of bridge her thinking of who he is and who he has shown himself to be, and kind of getting a more true picture of his character and his intentions and all of that. Plus, just from seeing his community in this last chapter for sure, and then knowing her community too, like I can just see how all the puzzle pieces I think are going to fit together, and I'm really excited to see that happen. We've also definitely seen some progress in the romance department. There have been some things happening, and we've been able to see a little bit more of how they both feel and kind of what they are grappling with within that, as it relates to like their past relationships and their current friendship and all of those things. And so that's been really fun. But there also is another guy kind of at play right now with like all of the dates and stuff that she's been going on, you know, kind of related to that. So I'm interested to see what happens with him as well, because right now he's still in the picture, like I said, at like 70-ish%. So I'm going to keep reading. I think I will probably just finish the book, and the next time we talk, like I said, will be when I'm giving you my final rating and thoughts, review, content, all of the things. And yeah, like I said last night, I'm sad that it's about to be over, and also I'm like super eager to keep reading and finish it. So that's a sign of a good book. So I'm probably going to go finish this, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. I finished my arc of Brighter Than Before a couple hours ago, and so I am ready now after some thoughts and reflection and time to give my final rating, thoughts, review, all of that. Before I share my final overall thoughts, I wanted to share my thoughts kind of on the last 20 or 30% that I read since I updated you last. So after I last updated you guys, something really big and kind of at least unexpected to me happened that I feel like was kind of the conflict or tension in the final third of the book. Because this is women's fiction with romance, it wasn't necessarily a romantic like third act breakup, but it was that kind of like, oh no, what's happening? Everything seems to be falling apart kind of situation. And I felt the like hopelessness of the character, and so felt for her in that moment. And I love the way that her whole community though came around her to support her in that moment. And then towards like the very last chapter of the book, something else kind of unexpected happened that when I was reading, you can see where I was like, wait. And that honestly also kind of caught me off guard. And so I just kind of loved that the end of the book, and honestly the whole book, there were just like situations and scenarios and new characters and all these things popping up that I just wasn't expecting. And I love the romance genre because it is predictable, and I think a lot of times we want that just like comfort I know how this story is going to end kind of story. But I loved that because this is a little more of that women's fiction, it kept me a little bit more on my toes, and I never quite knew what Courtney Walsh was going to do next, whether it was humor or something hard or somebody sharing something vulnerable. Like, she just had a mix of all the different things, and I had so much fun. I was just smiling at the end of it with how happy and hopeful it was, and I had a really good overall reading experience. So for my overall kind of rating and thoughts, this is a 5-star read, which isn't a big surprise to me because almost all of Courtney Walsh's books I think I've ever read have been like 4.5, 5 stars. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I just kind of knew that this book was going to be right up my alley, and it was. Also, if you're wondering, this book does not have any spice. There's kissing and that's it. And then there's no language in her books either. So I always appreciate both of those things. One of my favorite things about this story too was the setting. I really liked being in Chicago. I felt like I could picture the streets they were walking down and the activities they were doing. I love how she brought the city to life and had them out and about in the city a lot. Like, the city was a big part of the story, and that was something that I thought was really fun. I also really enjoyed all of the characters, obviously Claire and getting to see the journey she went on, but also Miles as her love interest, also Minnie and Lorraine and Lennon and all the like side characters that she brought into the story. I just had so much fun with, and I really enjoyed all of them except for obviously John, but it was honestly fun to not like John, so I was okay with that. And with the romance, I really loved how it was kind of a slow burn, how they became friends and then it morphed into more. I loved how sweet and encouraging he was towards her and her dreams and just this new life that she was trying to build, but also how like patient they were with each other and with each other's hurt and pain and healing process and all of that. I just feel like they were a perfect match, and I just really loved the way that they complemented each other and cheered each other on and encouraged each other. I feel like it's just always, in Courtney Walsh books, a very healthy relationship, which is so important to be reading. And then, of course, overall, I just loved the plot and the themes that kind of traversed this entire book when it came to the journey she went on, the list that she made, the dreams that she was chasing, the community around her. Like, I just really loved the storyline itself. She really pushed herself in small ways and big ways, and I love the way that that just created, I feel like, a really dynamic and interesting story. And there were so many funny moments, so many humorous scenes where I was laughing out loud, and I always appreciate that too. And then all the themes, there were themes of making change happen, being vulnerable, blank canvases and starting over, and just the possibility of a new fresh start, being brave when it feels really scary or crazy, and also just community and connection, and how really it's something that we all want, but sometimes we have to be the person to go out and actually make that happen. So if any of that sounds interesting to you or sounds like a book that you might enjoy reading, I would highly recommend picking up Brighter Than Before. It should be out when you guys are seeing this video, and I will link it down below in case you want to order it as well. But I truly just had the best time reading it. A very anticipated release that I did end up giving 5 stars, so I'm very happy about that. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching me read it in this reading vlog as well. If you're looking for some more No Spice books similar to this one as well, definitely check out nospicebooks.com. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, friends.